Hello everyone, it's me, Quirky Uwu Pig here. Now the world of stop motion has obviously become like a staple of my channel in a way, just because, you know, I talk about stop motion a lot. And to say I was excited to watch Henry Selick, the man who directed some of my favorite movies of all time, collaborate with Keegan-Michael Keel and Jordan Peele, two of my favorite comedians of all time. Yeah, I was pretty excited, and I can wholeheartedly say that they did a good job, but you know, there's a few things. There's a few things. We'll talk about it. But Wendell and Wild is honestly just a great representation of stop motion as a medium. It isn't afraid to hide the fact that it is stop motion. You know, it doesn't add a lot of CG to enhance it and kind of make it feel not stop motion. I feel like a lot of, you know, stop motion movies do that. And the art style in this movie is so unique and fresh because they actually hired a famous caricature artist known as Pablo Lobato, and he actually created every single design for this movie, and they based it off of his designs. And if you go look at any of his work, it is absolutely incredible. It's kind of like a geometric art with caricature style, and the product was tasty. And not only the art style, but the story of this movie was quite unique. Like the concept of the underworld being like a theme park ran by a huge demon, and the theme park is just on his stomach. And also the sons wanting to create their own theme park, but they're punished by making sure that their dad doesn't go bald. And sure, and I mean, yeah, the main character dealing with the loss of parents is always like a cliche, but taking the idea of facing her demons into a literal sense was pretty fun. And also the concept of a Hell Maiden is just cool. Like, I don't really know, it's just cool. Everything in this movie is very fresh, it's creative, it's a breath of fresh air, and this is just one of the few reasons why I love this art form so much.
Well, hello everyone, this is I, once again, Rolled Pig.
Oh, that's... Whatever. The established titles is a sponsor of the video. Our kingdom is getting more powerful. Soon we will take Scotland next, the world. Well, I mean, with established, it's only Scotland with this, but you know, we're building our kingdom. But established titles is all about the preservation of the beautiful woodlands of Scotland. Established titles plants a tree with every order, and they work with global charities, One Tree Planted, and Trees for the Future to support global reforestation efforts. With established titles, you get to call yourself a lord on top of owning a at least 1 square foot piece of land in Scotland. And all of this helps the global reforestation efforts. This is all based on that classic tradition of Scotland where if you own a plot of land, then technically you are a lord and or lady. And you yourself can become a lord, as I have. You could start telling all your friends to call you lord. Not only that, but you could put it on your credit card, your plane ticket, or hell, if you want to impress the ladies and the fellas, put it on your dating profile. They see lord, ooh, damn. And also the holidays are coming up, so doing something like this is such a unique and cool gift, and it has a great outcome and huge benefits for our nature and reforestation. And if you guys want to be next to me once again to build our kingdom stronger, the first 200 people who click that link in the description can be there with me together. So make sure you use code Bionicpig, go to establishedtitles.com/Bionicpig and get 10% off your order and be next to me. Daddy. Yeah, Daddy, Lord. Yeah, thank you. So let's talk a little bit about like the behind the scenes, the upcoming to this movie before we get into the actual movie and my opinions of this movie. Yes, we got to add a little bit of detail beforehand. And there is a lot of interesting facts about this because guess what? Henry Selick was about to completely end his career. He was close to retiring because after Coraline being a huge success and turning into a classic, one of the greatest and probably my favorite stop motion movie of all time, he got an offer to direct a Disney Pixar movie. However, this production got canceled. The movie was called The Shadow King. There's actually like a 5-minute clip on YouTube, and honestly, the movie looks really cool, and maybe in the future he could actually make it a thing because I would be excited to see that movie too. But the reason this movie was canceled canceled is because they didn't let Henry Selick be Henry Selick. Because Henry actually blames the previous owner of Pixar for this huge production failure. Because in Henry's eyes, this was a huge passion project. You know, right after Coraline, he wanted to make something incredible, something big. And Henry Selick actually said, quote, John Lasseter really couldn't support my vision. He thought he could make it better. And so we kept changing and changing and changing. Basically, John Lasseter couldn't help himself. He tried to Disneyfy it until the budget went through the roof. It got shut down, and I was kind of down. I wasn't sure if I was ever going to make another movie again. And I'm sorry, but like when Henry Selick is directing a movie, you don't really tell him what to do. Like, it's Henry Selick, man. I mean, come on. But Henry Selick in an interview actually did say that if Wendell and Wild becomes a big success, which, gonna be honest here, I don't know if that's going to happen, but on the off chance if it does, he might potentially in the future bring the Shadow King to its full fruition and make a movie out of it, which would be amazing. You hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Make Wendell and Wild a success right now. You know, a few thousand subscribers, do it. It'll make a difference. But anyway, after this failure of that movie, Henry was obviously quite distraught and, you know, again, contemplating whether or not he wants to make another movie. However, there was a certain show at the time that was kind of banging on Comedy Central that really caught his interest. Now, obviously, we're talking about Key and Peele. Henry Selick loved the comedy duo so much that he actually decided to come to them with an idea that he had. Now, this was before Jordan Peele's directing career, you know, before Get Out. This was before Keegan went on to do a bunch of different acting roles. This was actually during season 3 of Key and Peele. So this was very early on. But this idea that Henry Selick came to them with was something he wrote a long time ago about his two boys. It was like a quick 7-page story, and it was called Wendell and Wild, about his two sons. And it was, you know, based on the concept of children can be demons and stuff like that. And Jordan Peele, you know, being a huge fan of Henry Selick and also a huge fan of just stop motion in general. I mean, if you look at his Monkey Paw Productions intro, you could see where the, you know, inspiration lies. And Keegan as well, being a huge fan of Henry Selick, obviously they all agreed and they're like, let's do this thing. And from there, Henry and Jordan started their writing, expanding on this concept, and, you know, the product came out. And also something else I love about this movie before we get any further, the soundtrack is such a good combination of haunting hip hop, grunge, punk rock, and some whimsical music, classical stuff. It's such a good combination of music that just fits so well. And something else that Henry Selick did with this movie to really like pay homage to stop motion as a medium is we know that these dolls are extremely complex. They have 2 different pieces on their faces. There's one on the top, one on the bottom, so they could switch out different emotions. It's like a mechanical doll with a bunch of little things that you could move their body around. And he wanted to let everyone know that was watching this movie that this is stop motion, that like this is handmade, these are real dolls. So there's actually a line that you see in this movie of the dolls on their faces. There's like this little line right here, and that's where you take off, you know, the mouth and the eyes and switch them out to do different expressions. And normally, like for example in Coraline, Henry fills out these lines with CG and other stuff. However, in this movie, he decided to leave it in to again show everyone, hey, this is a doll, this is handmade, and put in the dollhouse and carry it around, it's real. And Henry explained the reason he did this is because he feels like imperfections are the things that make things unique and interesting and in a way perfect, which I relate to immensely. For example, like me producing music or something like that. I feel when there's an imperfection in the song, it is always better to leave that imperfection rather than spend a bunch of time making it perfect. Because if you spend so much time making something perfect, it's never going to be perfect. Because I feel like the perfect product is always within the imperfections of that product. And obviously I'm talking about something in a creative medium. And when we're talking about like things that need to be perfect, that's different. But when it comes to creating, you know, movies, songs, art, anything, I feel like the imperfections are really the thing that make it unique. Something that Henry even did, which I thought was really cool, was different frame counts. Because in most stop motion movies, some do 12 FPS, but most do 24 FPS, especially nowadays with the technology that we have, which basically means 24 frames per second, 12 frames per second. But he actually switches the frame count of different characters. For example, Siobhan, she was like a pretty simple design character. He actually said that he animated her in 8 frames per second, while he mostly animated Kat in 24 frames per second. And he kind of alternated different scenes with this stuff, again, to show everyone that this is stop motion. Hey, look how cool this shit is. Honestly, with this and Guillermo del Toro's new movie coming out, like maybe we could have a little comeback of stop motion, because I'm loving this. I'm loving this stuff. And not to mention Leica, they're working on Wildwood in the future, which is another stop motion. We got a lot. We got a lot. I'm spoiled right now. But let's get into the movies. Talk about the problems, the good parts. You know, I'm going to try not to spoil too much of this movie because I know it's a brand new movie and a lot of people probably want to see it. But complaints first. Yes, I do have some complaints here. Now, from what I've seen on the internet and different videos of people talking about this movie, I feel like a lot of people have a similar opinion on the issue with this movie. The movie genuinely just feels choppy and kind of all over the place. And I'm not gonna lie here, I enjoyed it way more the second time through watching this movie rather than the first time, because there's a little bit more context. There are moments in the movie where the pacing kind of feels a little bit weird, the dialogue feels a little bit unnatural. So many context clues that kind of get lost. You don't understand some things. There's points in the movie where I kind of feel like I missed something or I was lost. And I feel like this movie suffers from a good thing that can be bad, where every character is three-dimensional, and when that happens, it's very hard to focus on the important characters. Now, what I mean by that is every single character has a story. Every single character has something that needs to be fleshed out or a goal in mind. Like Wendell and Wild wanting to build their dream park in the land of the living, Siobhan learning about how private prisons are bad and her parents are the Klaxons and they're just evil. Raul finding a friendship with Kat after struggling to find friendships and finishing their art project. Sister Helly being a Hell Maiden and trying to protect Kat. The janitor, who is a Hell Maiden a trainer, but also a demon hunter who wants to capture Kat's demons. The Klaxons, who just want to take over the town with a private prison by raising the dead council members. The school pastor, who's helping out the Klaxons so the Klaxons can pay for their school. There is just a lot of things going on at the same time. And I'm just going to be honest here. The one storyline that I feel like they could have taken out is just the Klaxons. I feel like the Klaxons are kind of pointless. I get the social commentary they're going for, you know, private prisons bad, stuff like that. But I feel like I was way less interested in the Klaxons and way more interested in Hell Maidens, their powers, Wendell and Wild, and their theme park that they're planning on doing, the cream that brings people back to life. Like, there's so much more interesting things that they could have gone for, but they decided to do the, you know, evil business people trying to take over a town. It just feels like they don't really line up or mesh together. Now, don't get me wrong, I know the Klaxons and like how they destroyed Kat's parents' business and different stuff like that, but they could have just been put into a lesser degree or just written differently. Actually, you know what? Let me change my mind here. Not the Klaxons, the pastor of the Catholic school. If he was gone, nothing would have been lost. Now, the Klaxons, I feel like, do have a necessary part in the movie, but boy, does the pastor just not have any purpose, it feels like. But again, if they just expanded on Kat's powers, the Hell Maidens, the underworld, the connections of Kat and her demons, how Helly became a Hell Maiden, who the janitor is, he's a damn Hell Maiden trainer. Why can't we go in depth about him? Again, they just needed to expand, and they didn't. But if this movie was a jumping point to a different project, say a show or another movie, it would make a little bit more sense, because at the end of the movie, you just feel like you wanted more. I feel like a best way to summarize this and put it all together, everyone was a side character. It didn't feel like Kat was the main character, and it really didn't feel like anyone was the main character, because everyone had their own plot going on and it was just messy. For example, a scene, a little bit of spoilers here, was her dealing with her past self and like dealing with her past emotions and stuff like that. It was supposed to be a very emotional scene, but I just didn't really feel anything. And to be fair, that's mainly because all of these past things that Kat's dealing with, we never saw. We absolutely saw nothing. We saw nothing from the time she lost her parents until she went to the school. So she's dealing with everything in between that section, right? But we don't know what this section is. So I don't know how we're supposed to emotionally feel bad or connect with that. I'm an empath, and it still didn't really affect me. And we could also talk about the finale. There's a few people who didn't really like the finale. Minor spoilers here. Belzer coming to the land of the living and helping stop the Klaxons, which in a way doesn't make sense because he's a demon, but I guess private prisons are over the line for a demon. But really, if you just kind of look at the movie just like a fun watch and not, worry about all this stuff, it's not a bad movie by any means. Honestly, I still think the movie's great. It's just, I wish there was more, So let's move on from the negatives here. The main story is obviously Kat, the main character. She loses her parents at the beginning, and the whole movie deals with her dealing with her past guilt and dealing with her demons. She ended up having a tough childhood, going to orphanages, juvie. We didn't see any of that. It was more of just an understood situation. So her journey begins going back to her hometown, to an all-girls Catholic school, where she obviously does not fit in the slightest because, she's like a punk rock girl, and every single one there is very preppy and nice and disciplined. Kat's over there carrying around her Cyclops boombox, which I just want to say, oh my God, I want that. I want that boombox because it looks so fucking cool. But at the school, she meets all the students. The first three are Siobhan and her two friends. It's just a classic embodiment of overbearing, annoying, preppy girls. Then we meet Raul by happenstance of him accidentally knocking a brick off the roof and almost killing Siobhan. But Kat has a vision and pushes Siobhan away from the brick and saves her life. And that's the only time her powers happen in the movie until the end, which again, I wish they expanded on her powers or sprinkled in little bits of her seeing the future with her powers. It happened once, never happened again until the end. So I wish you did more. But let's talk about Raul real quick. Raul is actually the first trans character in a stop motion movie. Not sure if that's true. I'm just saying that because I've just never seen a stop motion movie with a trans character. And this is another reason why I look up to Henry Selick and love him, because I always have issues with movies, and I'm sure a lot of other people have issues with movies and shows or anything like that, having an LGBTQ character, and then they make the character just a walking caricature of what they are, and their entire personality is just, hey, I am this. And I hate that big companies do this, so then they could be like, oh, look, see, we love the LGBTQ community, we love all of you guys. It's really just stupid, unnatural, and kind of just mocking a lot of times. But Henry Selick himself mentioned this and stated that he did not want to add a trans character and then just focus on the fact that it's a trans character. I don't think there was any time in this movie where the word trans or transsexual or transition or anything like that was even used in this movie. It was kind of just understood. You saw a picture of Raul as a girl and now he's a boy. That's it. Boom, bam. And you even see Siobhan accidentally calling him a her, and she actually stops, apologizes, and she's like, oh, I'm getting used to this, which is a very realistic thing to do, because we're in a time where most people aren't really used to this thing. They're new to it. It's something new that we all as people need to learn and get used to. And this is also just a great way for, say, children to learn about this in a natural way, because children are smart. You don't need to go on a tangent about why or how or what's the point or anything like that. It's just as simple as, hey, they were a she, now they're a he. That's all you need to know. Boom, bam. And on top of everything else, I thought it was pretty cool that they did a casting call through Twitter, apparently. They literally just asked for a trans Latino actor, and then Sam Zalea said, quote, I'm both of those things. It's pretty rare to see a casting call where being that intersection of two minorities isn't going to play against you, because usually they kind of want one or the other. But Raul is honestly just a great character just in general. He kind of turns into Kat's sidekick throughout the movie. He's also an artist, and in the end of the movie, you get this big reveal of an art project that Raul was working on throughout the movie. All right, so let's move on to Wendell and Wild, the title of the movie, the big two characters, which honestly in the movie, they're kind of just side characters, but they're the sons of the infamous Buffalo Belzer, the demon who runs the underworld theme park. And their job, or I guess you would say their punishment, is literally just making sure their father's head does not go bald. And they use this magic hair cream to make sure that his hair never falls off. And I'm just saying, who the hell thinks of this stuff? It's so stupid and funny and unique and creative, and I love it. And then they end up drinking the hair cream trip balls and then see Kat in a vision. Huh? It really just throws constant curveballs in this movie, and it's just nothing's normal about it. It's all creative and unique. I love it. The main conflict you would think of this movie would be, Wendell and Wild and her dealing with that, but not really, because the real antagonist of this movie is none other than Trump and Ermhard, or I should just call them the Claxons for short, which basically they're the personification of capitalism, gentrification, and the corrupt nature of private prisons. Because Jordan Peele as a director always tends to have like a social commentary within a movie, which I always appreciate. I don't mind it. I like it because I feel like it's put in this movie in a way where obviously kids or people who don't really care about politics or private owned prisons or anything like that are just going to be like, oh, big business bad guys. That's all it is. There's actually a lot of different morals in this movie, which is a benefit and a detriment at the same time, because I feel like the most important portion is about Kat dealing with her inner demons, her past guilt, feeling like it was her fault that her parents died, coming to closure and realizing that it's not really her fault and she's got to move on. The idea of her dealing with her literal demons in a physical, literal sense. The strength of a parent's love and how Belzer even later in the movie starts to become more of a parent. The industrialization of private owned prisons, how capitalism is set up where people of color have less opportunities. It's about friends, it's about community, or you can view it as a girl who turns into a hell maiden and now she can see the future. Either way, it doesn't really matter. You can view it any way you want. I'll be honest here, I do love all of what they did there. I love movies that have a topic of conversation, movies that leave you with something. They don't just end and then you walk out and you forget completely about what happened. But anyway, back to the Claxons. They're basically people who will do anything to get a prison put into this town. The town is basically just going to become a prison. And when I say anything, that's not limited to, murder, bringing the dead back to life. And really the only reason they are terrifying is just in that fact that they will do anything. They've murdered a lot of people, you will find out in this movie. But their want to build a prison does overlap with Wendell and Wild. Wendell and Wild need money. The Claxons have money. There's a connection there. But like I said before, every character does have a goal. For example, Kat wants to bring her parents back to life with Wendell and Wild. Raul just wants to protect Kat because that is his new friend, which he doesn't have many friends, and also complete his art project. Wendell and Wild just want money to build their theme park. They're very selfish. They don't really care about anyone else. They just want to build their theme park in the land of the living, which leads them to do bad things because Wendell and Wild aren't necessarily evil demons. They're just stupid demons who want to build a theme park and will do anything to do it. And really, again, the only people who are full evil are just the Claxons once again. And also the skull mouth thing where she puts her hand on her face and the skull starts talking with the nose right here, and I love that. During a time where she can't control her Hell Maiden's powers because she's still dealing with the guilt of the past, her hand is just fucking goes up to her face and it's it's cool. I love that. And also the scene where Kat faces her past with Sister Helly is so just visually stunning and cool. I love the mixture of stop motion animation styles in there. It's just so pretty. So all in all, for me personally, good movie. I wanted more. That's all I'm going to say. I wanted more Henry Selick and Jordan Peele. You did great. The art, incredible. The style, mwah, delicious. The writing, could have been more. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, if I give this movie a rating, I'd say it's 6.5 to 7 out of 10. Not fantastic, but not bad. Pretty good. Again, I just wanted more. I mean, it's great, but it's not a Coraline. But it did quench my thirst for stop motion movies, I'll tell you that much. And if you guys have seen it once and enjoyed it, I highly recommend watching it again, because I feel like the more you watch this, the more you'll enjoy it, the more little details you'll see, the more context you'll see, you'll understand more of what's going on, because I feel like the first watch kind of mishmash all over the place. Second watch, it's a lot more clear of what's going on. Good movie. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe. Tell your friends about me. Please tell all your friends. You don't have any friends. Let's be real. You watch me. You watch me. You don't have any friends. Look at you sitting there with your
mustache and Monster Energy drink, watching freaking anime. Ew. Bye.